wake up, feel the light, a brand new day in sight. Conversations that uplift, setting your dreams alight. Mindset shifts, empowering quotes, fueling your fire, keeping you afloat. Stay inspired daily, let your spirit soar. Our love language is value, giving you more. Join the conversation, every word counts. Motivation matters in large amounts. Stay inspired daily, let your spirit soar. Our love language is value, giving you more. Join the conversation, every word counts. Let your motivation matters in large amounts. Uplifting chats, start your day, guiding you gently, showing the way. Empowering words, a soothing balm. In our platform, find your calm. Mindset shift, embrace the change. Stay inspired, let your goals arrange. Daily motivation, your daily lift. You got this, embrace the gift. Hashtag shift, embrace the change. Stay inspired, let your goals arrange. That's the daily motivation, your daily lift. You got this, embrace the gift. Stay inspired daily, let your spirit soar. Our love language is value, giving you more. Join the conversation, every word counts. Motivation matters in large amounts.
That have to bear the condensation that will bring out of you what you need to be because of what comes with it.
Good night, each and everyone. Welcome to the Conversation Motivational Date Night. Welcome our tribe, welcome our community, and welcome our village. Welcome once again. It's a privilege to be with the Conversation family. You know how we are, the Conversation is, you know we are bougie, you know we are extra, you know we go the extra mile, we are the sharer warriors. We don't eat our bread alone, but we share our bread. Hit the share button and share this podcast with your bae, your boo, your darling, your sweetheart, your honeycomb, your main squeeze, your wife. Share it with everybody. Your husband, share it with your dog, your cat. Just share. Just be a share warrior. Don't eat your bread alone. Tonight I have with me, I want to tell you, my friend, my colleague, my brother in Christ. I want to tell you tonight we're going to have a great time with a great takeaway tonight. I want to let you know we're going to form the synergy and the energy. With that being said, happy birthday to all those who celebrate a birthday. Happy anniversary to all who celebrate an anniversary. Our sympathy and empathy go to those who have lost a loved one in this time of bereavement. Yahweh Amashiach will grant your heart's desire, meet you right wherever you need. Wherever you are in the ICU, CCU, intensive care unit, probably you're the triage nurse, probably you're about the OR to have a procedure done. We pray that God will guide the doctors and the nurse. He will take care of everything and meet you right where you are. What about those in jail and prison? What about those in the nursing home, those right now in the hospice, those right now in wherever they are in the Palms. We want to meet you right wherever you are tonight. I trust that this podcast will be a source of encouragement to wherever you are. And how can I forget the Conversation Motivational Hour, the Conversation Motivational Date Night, the Conversation Motivational Zero to Hero TV family, the Conversation Global Network family, the Conversation Together We Rise Ministry, the Conversation Yahweh Ministry. I want to tell you the Walmart of social media is no other than the Conversation platform. We always evolving, we always matriculating to the best that we can be in the month of June. Oh yes, we are celebrating 12 years of the heartbeat of the conversation of the world. We can only get better, we can only get hotter, and we can only get greater. There's a saying that says, if you go alone, you go very fast, but you go with others, we go very far, and we're gonna go very far all the way into eternity. With that being said, tonight I want to say welcome everyone. Glad you were here. I am Pastor Seon Rodney. I have with me Deacon Edie George Clark. Oh yes, with me tonight, and we're dealing with a powerful topic tonight, an exciting topic tonight. A topic can help you to move from your zero to hero moment. A topic will help you to move from level 1 to level 3 tonight. A topic that can help you to evolve to live the God like the Zoe life, moving from nothing to something, moving from broke to money, moving from pain to gain. Tonight it's gonna be awesome because we're gonna put it in our perspective. And tonight we have the lines will be open so you can call in tonight. The number to call is 670-678-770-0430. And we would prefer you call by WhatsApp because we will not be paying your bill if you're overseas, but we prefer you call by WhatsApp because it's the cheap way to get into the studio with your question, your answer. If you want to be a part of the topic tonight, we can have you pass it through tonight. With that being said, tonight, the topic is mentorship. So we gonna deal with mentorship. We're gonna deal with mentees tonight. And tonight, how different would your life be if you had the right guidance at the right time? My friend, my brother, my colleague, tonight I had the privilege of getting to know you beyond tonight. I had the privilege to share spaces and places with you. And I've come to see no better person for this juncture, the moment where I see you sit as a mentee and I see you take position as a mentor. I myself as being a mentee, and then the script has been flipped where I become a mentor. And tonight I understand that we have shared a lot of places in life where we grow less fortunate, and so forth. We didn't have the well-to-dos of the goals of the spoons and so on and so forth. We can call the shots of what we need to have and it being provided and so forth. We all came from a place of less fortunate, even though people ask, where do these two beautiful, handsome young men come from? We are Guyanese by birth and we are American by naturalized citizenship. And we can tell you, even though we come from the different part of Guyana, we share the same story, because despite our age gap are different by a few year and a couple months, but our experience there to be the same thing, where we all grow less fortunate. Because of that time, it takes a lot to really be a part of the well-to-do. It takes a lot to be a part of the bourgeoisie. We were the person that when you knock your plate, it's because you had a great meal. You don't know when a great one is coming. So we share the same story. And tonight, we're going to dive into mentorship. And tonight, my brother, my friend, my colleague, also Deacon Edie Clark tonight is also an entrepreneur. He shares the entrepreneurial space, wear many hats, sit at the table of where we never thought he would enter into room, spaces, and places, because of his business acumen, because of his business experience, because of his thriving business. Deacon Edie Clark is so fitted tonight for us to delve into mentorship tonight, because someone has mentored him, someone has mentored me, and then now we all both are mentors. Also, for those who are in the place of his upbringing, Deacon Edie Clark at this juncture has returned back to the place of his birth, the place of his less fortunate upbringing, the place of his pain of being less fortunate, the place where he could not have been entering into spaces and places with the bourgeoisie, and he is able to bring to the fore and bring to that community what we call the community outreach day, a community event. And it's been running into how many years, my brother?
4.
4 years of thriving. 4 years of putting smiles on children's faces, 4 years of making sure that the community can find a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, and now on the calendar of a place to be and a thing to do of this skill set. So we are talking of a young man who was evolved, a young man who was matriculate, a young man who shared places and his experience to help young men to elevate from where they are, not what people say about them, but what they can become. My brother tonight, who is Deacon Edie George Clark beyond businessman?
First of all, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Like I always say, I wish I have your energy. But it's good. You need this type of energy for do these type of things. It can be it can be catchy. People can you have the right name for it, the motivational hour, because you have that in you. But I'm just a simple guy with humble beginnings, like you mentioned. Grew up in 1 Mile, Linden, Guyana. Um, you know, go through the struggle like everyone else. Travel, go some tough roads. Um, Sleep on floor, sleep on bedding. Went some days not knowing what to eat. Just going through the struggle and the journey, like most persons I know. Having a home where your parents are trying to make two ends meet, and you adjust and you adapt and make the best out of it at the time. You don't know, well, it don't seems to be a form of what you might call poverty, but because everybody living the same way, so it seems like the norm. But looking back, it was a struggle. It was time. It was some tough times, but I wouldn't trade it. It made me who I am, and helped carve me into the man I am today. Yeah, yeah.
So with that being said, I understand, and I love what you said, that you wouldn't train your humble beginning experience for anything. It made you of who you are today. And I would not trade my humble beginning also being less fortunate and among the most fortunate people of where I grew up and around for anything, because those experiences helped me to be who I am. Even I'm still facing, as we told during life, a lot of humbling experience. So with
Yeah.
those who came in late tonight, the number to call into the studio is 678-770-0430. If you have a question, we can help you with the answers. We don't know it all, but if we cannot answer tonight, candidly, we're going to tell you we're going to come back at the next segment and we're going to provide the answers. And if you want to add to the discourse tonight, you can call in and also do same, 678-770-0430. With that being said, tonight we are dealing with the topic, the mentor and mentee. Welcome, Emily Durant. Say goodnight, everyone. Welcome, Nicholo Ford Nelson. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong.
Nicole Ford Nelson.
Nicole Ford Nelson. You can call in tonight, 678-770-0430, and you can add to the discourse. If you have a question or you want to be a part of the discourse, you can lend your voice to the discussion tonight. But tonight we're dealing with mentor and mentorship. And tonight I want to tell you that your experience alone helped to mentor us and bring us into that humble experience. Because many people cannot understand how we can be so humble when we have evolved into a place of being a little more fortunate than where we come from, because not many people can handle it because they're afraid of getting back to where they were. And because of that, mentorship can be one of a challenging experience for many people who have grown less fortunate. Mentorship can be a challenge for also mentally, emotionally, physically, psychological, and financial when they have grown less fortunate, because they don't want to be mentored because someone they feel will take away from them, that they will end up back to right where they were. So Deacon Edie George Clark, what is true mentorship? What is true mentorship?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Mentorship is is when you as a person you evolve. This is my understanding, and you evolve based on your experience, based on your the journey you have traveled. And it is not a case, is not a position of telling persons what to do per se. It's not a position of telling a person you need to do this, you need to do that's being a boss. A mentor is a person who live a life, make mistakes, we made mistakes, grow up, becoming mature, and can share those experiences with a person that needs help, especially in those situations. And you're willing to be open or expose yourself to a person for their upliftment and for their betterment. You're willing to share, the journey. And it's a life that you a mentor is more of a leader than anything else, because you inspire people, you inspire someone to become, you inspire someone to want to aspire to be. As a mentor, I always believe it's not a case where you will go and say, hey, let me mentor you. I can't remember ever going to someone that wanted to be mentored and say, hey, let me mentor you. Most of the time, if not all of the time, it will be a case where I am doing something and they notice that I'm doing something and they fit in with what I'm doing, and eventually it grown towards a mentor-mentee relationship. It is, and before we know it, as the relationship evolved, then even with my mentor, to this day, I'm pretty sure maybe if you ask her, she really didn't start out to saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be your mentor." She 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 knows some of the things I've been through, and she decided, we had conversations, and she evolved, and I looked to her as my mentor based on her life, right, and based on what she was imparting in me. And so a lot of times, being a mentor, it's what we can impart in others, the value um, that we can impart in others, they to make help make their lives better. And in my case, it stands on Christ, of course, but there are all types of mentors in different field. I had a great mentor growing up. Um, when as a young man, his name is Neville Chapman. He passed away. I was just out of school, and my mom sent me there to learn auto mechanic. But he was a great mentor to me at the time. I never knew, we didn't understand those days, we didn't understand the term mentorship. But looking back, I know he was a great mentor to me because he taught me some very valuable lessons in life. And I would, even when we didn't had lesson per se, I would go to him. Even after I finished at his lessons, there were times when I would call him, I would go to him, because I look to him in that capacity. But at the same time, now looking back, I realize, oh, he was a great mentor to me. So mentorship for me is having the ability and the know-how to impart wisdom, knowledge, understanding, um, experiences, and all these things into persons. You don't have to necessarily have to be a person that's younger, because they can be a person that's older than you that you can still mentor, and help people to become and find what part you can play to help them find their gift, so to speak.
Yes, the number to call is 678-770-0430. 678-770-0430. That's the number to call if you have a question you want to lend to the conversation tonight. We're dealing with mentorship tonight, and I have with me no other than a mentor who evolved from a mentee to a mentor, who matriculate and evolve into the entrepreneurial space. He's a business owner. He's a deacon in the spiritual space, serving at Sanctuary's Presence Kingdom Ministry. He's a husband, and also he's a brother of many. Oh, yes, biologically, and also the brother in the faith. So no better person. And he also is the visionary of 1 Mile Village Day, which evolved into 4 years and can only get better from there. So the number to call is 678-770-0430. And I am Seon Gregory Gomes Rodney. Yes, and tonight we are dealing with mentorship. So the takeaway from what you just said, Deacon E.D. George Clark, relationship is a very important in mentorship. Relationship is very important in mentorship. And that's what happened, because what happened, they are 3 cousins. They are boss, they are leaders, and they are mentor. The difference within those 3 cousins is relationship. The relationship tells of the boss to the employee. The relationship tells of the leaders to those you're leading. And the relationship tells of the mentor to the mentee. And they are different. You find that the mentor would not insult much the mentee that he leads. The boss insults the people that he leads. And the leaders sometimes come up with the agenda that the people they lead follow. But the mentor incorporates the mentee. So the thing is all about relationship. Relationship is very, and I love what you said, even back in the days, the man that were mentoring you without you even knowing the man is your mentor, because the word just came up lately, where, you know, that what mentor really is. I only know about mentorship when I came to America, but looking back, I recognize so many person that I really has mentors. So it's a difference with a boss, a difference with a leader, and a difference with a mentor. So the most effect that you will have is an effect of a great relationship, and that you call your mentor. And also you are a dad to many kids, and you understand that the relationship you build with your sons and your daughter, that even show the different part that you play in their life, whether you're a mentor, whether you're a boss, or whether you are a leader. The leadership part will be the daddy part. The boss part depends on how you may administrate. And then the mentor part is where you're taking them under your wings and preparing them for life. So because of that, they can come, because of the relationship, they can become candid with you. They can open up to you. They can tell you first thing before anyone else come to you, and they come last. So mentorship is a very, very important. And I can see, because of the indelible mark that you have made in your mentorship, I can see that men has traveled over journeys overseas and the airways at their own expense to spend just a short moment with you. Why did that happen? Not for a boss most often times, not for a leader most often times, but more so for a mentor, because relationship help people to evolve beyond feelings. Relationship help people to go beyond dollars and cents. Relationship help people to share spaces and places that they want to grow as you grow. So with that being said, Deacon E.D. George Clark, I want to thank you so much for the indelible mark. I have sit back and I have listened, not only from you, the mentor, but I've listened into spaces and places where your name came up, and I can see that truly you are a mentor, because I eavesdrop from conversations from the mentees that you mentor, and you make indelible marks sometimes as a mentor, not knowing. And I love what you said, because you said that a mentor never announce that I am mentoring you. And that is so much important. A boss will announce, I am the boss. Everybody have to know who is the boss, because he flexes bicep and his tricep. He or she flexes their muscle, and so on and so forth, and so on. But then you get a leader. A leader sometimes leads, but does make you got to know that they are the leader. But a mentor, just because of the relationship, you recognize, I need to sit under this person, because your success story, your evolving story is what is speaking louder than the title. That's the difference. So now, for example, you said you sit under the man back there, and you didn't know he's a mentor, but something of that man that you sit under, and because of that, you take that mentor. You probably see that man evolve in how he deal with business, how he deal with his husbandhood, how he deal with his fatherhood, how he deal with the community umbrella and this. So I wanna sit under this man, and this man take you under his wing. So now you go beyond the time calling him, you go beyond the time for a conversation. Therefore, he didn't recognize that he mentored you. That's how simple this thing is, because now it's a growing relationship. It's a growing relationship.
And sometimes, a lot of times mentorship, it can be used loosely too, because first of all, mentorship is not about control, it's about guidance. You don't control someone. If you're going to be a mentor to someone, or you realize that someone wants you to be a mentor to them, it comes with, you have to be humble to understand that your duty at that point in time is not to control the person. That's why I am of the strong belief that to be a mentor, you have to go through things, because you have to live a humble life. You have to live a humble life, because you have to be able to guide a mentee or a guide person. And a mentorship is not about talking either. You can't go out and say, I can do this, and this is who I am, and this is no. It's about accountability. A lot of times you might be in the presence of a mentee, and the mentee, there might be a situation might go wrong. What are you going to do as the mentor? Are you going to throw it on the mentee, or are you going to be accountable to say, hey, it's my responsibility to make sure that this is done right? So most mentee look for accountability in a mentor. And thirdly, a mentor is not about a friendship. It's not being a mentor-mentee relationship is not about a friendship. It's more about development. How can I help this person develop to be the person that I can see? Because a lot of times, when as a mentor, you have to be able to, if I'm a mentor and you're a mentee, I have to be able to see potential in you, and my job is to help you develop that potential. So it is a big thing. It is necessary. I think we lack many of it in society today, especially in the form of men, but is very important and necessary.
Yes, and I love what you said. It's not about friendship, because sometimes, it can be misconstrued of a great friendship as mentorship. So you enjoy a great friendship, a great camaraderie, and then I said, really, I am mentoring you. Or you said this person is mentoring, but basically there is a great friendship. And also there's a difference. I love what you said, that friendship and mentorship, because you have to guide that person, and that person have to allow you to guide them to grow. The person allow you to guide them to go into spaces and into places. Because you see, friendship can be just because of a moment in time, a moment in our same place. We meet up at Applebee's and we call it a great friend. This is my Applebee's buddy. And we sit down and we have nice conversation. We talk about the game and so forth. We talk whatever sport you are part of. And then one person say, man, I'm mentoring this man. But where you mentoring this man to go? What direction you giving? What experience are you giving to this person? But it's a great friendship. awesome conversation. And somebody say, I'm a mentee, that's a mentor. But as you helping, because you may have more experience, you may have more opportunity there is, you may have no knowledge there is, you may have more experience there is. And therefore, for you to be a mentee, you have to make sure that you are a mentor, you have to make sure that the person with you can evolve to spaces and places that you so become. So I love that what you said, because we sometimes take friendship and call it mentee and mentor, but it's just a good time, a good moment, and it
Yeah.
probably evolve over a period of time that we do the same thing, does not have any yielding results, but we do it for a very long time. Oh, we share the same spaces in the same organization, we say the same place to the same club, whatever it is, we be Dave and Buster, maybe be the movies, we go to movies regulars, and also we can enjoy great things, but really and truly, I am not really mentoring you, because I'm not helping you to evolve. I'm not helping you to be at the place, because I am probably at a privileged place more than you, but we are just sharing that moment of friendship, and we call it mentee and mentor. And tonight, Deacon Edie George Clark, why do men need mentorship? Why
Oh,
do men need mentorship?
that's good. It's and I just kind of give a hint to that. It's important. Most of us, I didn't believe in mentorship at one point. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't know of the term,
Mhm.
but and we, because of pride and because of our macho, we feel like, hey, nobody, I don't want nobody, you can't tell me what to do, because we used to we misunderstood for a long time what mentorship really is. And even as sometimes as grown men, I am proud to say I have a mentor, and I am happy that I have a mentor, even if my mentor, and sometimes I wonder if she really accept that role as, okay, I'm his mentor. But if I'm going through something or I'm dealing with a situation that is tough, I know who to call, because I that's how I look at her. And I know how that impact my life. So mentorship in men's life is good, especially for guys who might lack a father figure, and sometimes we might have a father, but even our father may not have what it takes to be mentors. So it's important as men that we have mentors. Men can be misguided by bad influence, misguided influence. You can, social media, the streets, you might be, and that happens a lot. Where a lot of, especially the young people now, the young men, you know, there there aren't so much strong mentors around, so they look to the streets, and before we know it, they got caught up into all type of stuff because they're not strong mentors. I could give you an example. A few years ago, I think about 3 years ago, I was back in Guyana, and you know, a fight almost broke out over a situation. And I was there. I'm not a person that get involved in fight and all of these things. But there was a young man there, and he was he was really upset. And he had a right to be upset, but it was a case of where it got from 0 to 100 real quick. And I was standing in the background looking and wondering, how can I approach this young man to talk with him and let him know that, hey, there's ways to do things, and even though you're right, you're kind of handling it borderline the wrong way, and you can get yourself in trouble by trying to represent a right situation, so to speak. And I was scared. I was scared to approach him because I thought he wouldn't have listened. He probably would have torn his anger on me. But I waited, and I went to him and put my arm around him and said, hey, you know, I understand what you're trying to do. I understand the situation, but I think you're handling it a little wrong. Come sit, let's talk. And I was talking to him, and I realized the young man graduated Mackenzie High School. He had potential. He had have a good head on his body, but the problem is he never had someone to really talk to him about his purpose and what he can become. And I decide, well, I didn't look at myself, okay, I'm going to be his mentor. I just decided, he needs somebody to talk to him and try to encourage him on who he is and what his skill set are. At the time, I didn't know he had CXC subjects and went to Mackenzie High School and thing. I found that out. He told me that afterwards. But today, he have a thriving business and he is doing well and he need encouragement, he would call. And I can give you stories upon stories with young men like that. So the point I'm trying to make is if there is a lack, in my view, of men that can see situations, not wait for someone to call, but you can see situations and say, you know what, I think if I approach this individual, I approach this young man, have a conversation with him, encourage him, don't tear him down because you might see, he got his pants off his waist or something, you tear him. No, go and help him to realize that, hey, I've been there. I've been through what you've been through, and you can do better than this. But there is a way to do it too with the youths. You can't, because they're very edgy. So you have to be very careful in your approach. But it can be done. So we need that, and then the next thing is men suffers in silence a lot. Men don't know to channel their frustration. They don't know to express themselves a lot of time because of pride, because we feel like, man, if I tell you what I'm going through, you might sometime a tantalize might come up or something, and you might start, you got secret for me. We men, so we prefer to suffer in silence, which is something I'm big on because of my dad situation. So I don't I try my best where I can. If I see men might be struggling, as long as I know, I try my best to, get involved there and try to thing. And finally, when a lot of men or young men that don't have structure, we might grow up without structure, but as we get older, I don't know of a man that, or I don't know of an individual that don't need structure. They might not know it, that that's what it is at the time, but structure is very important. Structure is our guide. Structure is what guides us. We need structure. I don't care what it is, as long as we can. And for me, just for many of us, our structure is in the word. So we go to the word, we get structure. But what about a young man that don't understand the word? How can we bring structure to his life as a mentor and let him understand that, hey, you need these things in your life to help you? These are the things, and sometimes you have to approach it with the street slang, with some street language. I'm not talking about vulgarity, and you have to meet them where they are sometimes, and then gradually you bring them along until they could get the big picture and they could understand, oh, this is what he'd been trying to tell me 2 years ago, and now I can see it. I can dream, and eventually they will ask questions. How you get there? What did you do? And that's when we get a chance to introduce them to Christ and so on. So it is important for men to have mentor. That's why they need mentorship. They need men without mentorship will learn, but he will learn the hard way.
You see, I love what you said, because you see the difference with a mentor. A mentor starts the relationship with shared experience. And I love what you said sometimes, and that's why we talk about the difference with the relationship. You have a boss, you have a leader, and you have a mentor. A mentor will not insult you to lead you. A mentor will not insult you to bring you to where they are. A mentor is giving you opportunity, giving you guidance, and help you to evolve with shared experience. A mentor will come to right where you are, see the need of you without you knowing that a mentor see the need, and the mentor will reach out to meet you right where you are without announcing the need that they come to aid you with. And then they will develop a relationship.
And out of that relationship, you have shared experience. And then you recognize before you know it, you are evolving into the space with that relationship with a mentor. So now your mentee will evolve at some time to become a mentor, because there's one thing a true mentor doesn't have: scarcity mentality. That's the difference between a boss, a leader, and a mentor. Because a mentor will take you bring you to the place of results. So we have in the chat here, I don't want to pronounce your first name because I don't want to butcher your first name. I will go with Johnson. Johnson says, sometimes you really don't know what someone is going through, but because of relationship, you can able to create that safe space. That was a mentor and a mentee. There is a relationship that will develop. And in that relationship, there is a safe space. So now your person can able to open what they're going through. For us as men, and I love you said one of the greatest mic drop that men suffer in silence, because men oftentimes went through so many times of betrayal, because and it's hard for them to really trust in that safe space. So men always concealed more, carry the pain and the hurt more than a female. But so it's hard for them to open up. And then we have Johnson says, in the weakness, he guided me through a terrible situation. I am a witness. You see, even tonight, somebody is vying for your Deacon Edie George Clark as being the mentor, and they're saying here, I am a witness. He guided me through a terrible situation when I first started telling the truth. Even God said, come as you are. Welcome. So tonight, the number to call in is 678-770-0430. You can call in with your question. You can call in to add to the discourse tonight. And our topic tonight is mentorship. I'm Pastor Seon Rodney, and I have with me Deacon Edie George Clark, who is also an entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurial space. He's a business owner. He is a mentor. He is a visionary, and also he is able tonight to help you to move from your zero to hero moment. So Deacon Edie George Clark, what mistake are men making today? What mistake you think men are making today of not allowing themselves to be a mentee sitting under a mentor?
If first of all, I don't think.
But Deacon, before you go, there's somebody asking me to slow down with the number. It's 678-770-0430. Tony Thompson, it's 678-770-0430. And someone says, Johnson says, yes, I am from day one. I made he feel safe, comfortable, and secure, and I can speak to him about anything. So you made the person feel safe, you made them feel comfortable, and now they can talk to you about anything. And glad for your mentorship, glad for your leadership, and glad for your vision as a visionary. As I said, I eardrop in many conversations in spaces that you give guidance and mentorship and leadership, and I understand that you are truly a mentor. So Tony John Thompson, once again, is 678-770-0430. Over to you, Deacon Edie George Clark.
And I appreciate it.
We have a caller. Good night, caller.
Hello, I'm Johnson. I'm Shernay.
Yes.
Yes, I'm speaking on behalf of well, we're eating. He's my boss man, and when I was he did guide me through a situation to where there was a whole lot of stuff going on, but he was patient, concerned. He was concerned, and he reached out. So everything he's speaking and talking about, he is truly, and I mean truly passionate about everything he do. He don't He don't look for praise. He don't look for anything. He just him. Like, so, and I mean, he's just passionate about everything. But that's all I have to say. But
Thank
be
you very
blessed.
much. Thank you very much for calling in. And if you want to call in during the night and you have any question or anything more to lend to the discourse, we welcome you and thanks you very much. What's your name again?
Jordan A. Johnson.
Okay, great, 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 Miss Johnson. Thank you very much. And
Thank
here you
you.
goes, Deacon Edie George Clark. Over to you.
Yeah, your question was why some men make mistakes um, right now when it comes to mentorship. I think part of it is pride. We are men, and we sometimes pride can take us over, um, and especially if we don't have someone we can trust, because the thing about mentorship, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think a good mentor would go and announce that he's a mentor. His work, his life, his experiences will show. For me, I thank God for is the weight of his glory, because is him is the person that leads me into places and spaces and allow me to be a witness. And from doing that, some persons might see me as a person that can be a mentor to them and so on. I don't step out saying, oh, I'll be, like I mentioned, out to be a mentor. But pride, I think, is one of the biggest thing that affects us as men when it comes to a mentor mentee relationship. Lack of discipline. Discipline is a big thing, because if I'm gonna be a mentor to you, it will call for some form of discipline on your end, because it will be totally impossible for me to be a mentor to you, or for someone to be a mentor to someone else, if that person is disciplined. You can't avoid correction. You can't, if a mentor is telling you, you got there persons that, you no matter what you try to tell them, they have a rebuttal to say no, they're making excuses and so on. It's hard to be a it's hard to form a mentor mentee relationship that way. You need to be able to accept correction. You need to be able to, you need to be willing to accept correction, and also waiting results without process. You want the quick results. A lot of times in a mentor mentee relationship, it takes years sometimes to really develop. It takes years for the mentor to get out of you, um or to help you become, or for to lend you the experiences and the knowledge and the information you might need to get on that process of becoming who you are. And that's why I truly believe, even though there are many mentors and great mentors outside of the kingdom, I think the best of them are in the kingdom, because you're not coming just based off of life experiences, your thoughts, and and the things you might share are, most of it, if not all, are based on the word and based on the solid, on some foundation there. So your life becomes somewhat more of a testimony more than anything else. And in my view, the Lord allows that light and that testimony to shine forth. And as long as you're humble and you're willing to make sure that persons understand that it's not me but him that lives in me, then he will use you to meet people. And in my case, that's my experience. I don't I wouldn't say that I am qualified in academically and these things to be a mentor. My space as a mentor is fully in kingdom spaces. And I use what God has done for me, share it with persons, make that my character, form my character and who I am in Christ, and become a mentor through using that channel. And that has worked. I don't think you can go wrong there. So I think that's a lot. Those are some of the things men or to men, a lot of us, not men alone, but most portions that in a mentor-mentee relationship, which is pride, avoiding correction, want results too fast, and don't want to go through the process, lack of discipline. All these things can hinder a mentee if a mentor is trying to help them, you know, get by and get in where they're trying to get to.
And also, I think trust is a factor also, because remember, we're dealing with relationship.
Right.
The more the mentor unveil themselves to the mentee, so the mentee develop a trust because of the relationship to the mentor. And this is where you call in confidentiality. So now the mentor has to have the highest bar of the confidentiality code, because now, because of that relationship, the mentee will start unveil things that has to be vaulty, mean like a vault, a fireproof vault, a fireproof file, because they start unveiling their threat, their weakness, and their strength to this mentor. And the mentor do the same to the mentee. So for there to evolve into the best, it has to be a trust.
Yeah.
That's why many relationships sometimes do not stand past the honeymoon phase of a mentee and a mentor, because trust was broken. That's why many relationships hasn't stood the test of time, because trust has broken. You see, God said, who he loveth, he chasteneth. But still yet, the trust with God, with us, we can trust him even though he chasing us, me weeping us and so on, being harsh towards us, because God is the greatest mentor. But while I may able to be of the relationship and steering and guide you, I have to trust you. So that's why we deal with a boss differently. We deal with a leader differently, and we deal with a mentor. All has relationship, but a boss cannot hold your trusted secrets, because they're just a boss. They're in the interest of the company. They're in the interest of the position. Then we deal with a leader. A leader is in the interest of how long you serve them and how long you serve to keep them in that leadership. Then we deal now with what we're talking about tonight, mentorship. That relationship would never outlive itself, because the mentor is evolving into better, the mentee is evolving into mentorship, and the relationship will never die, because relationship cannot be bought. Relationship is a thing that grows. So tonight, trust is one of the greatest things between a mentee and a mentor. So tonight, Deacon Edie, George Clark, I want to ask you, why should man do starting today? What should a man do starting today?
Good question. First, I think most, if you don't have a mentor and you feel like you're struggling in, you know, to grow, I would advise that you find one. There was a point in, and sometimes mentorship can start in a weird space. Like for my mentor, I just went to visit her one day, and she didn't. I was kind of talking to her about what I was going through at the time, and we talked for a while, and then she introduced me to a guy on YouTube that I should listen to, and I listened to him, and the change started there. But and based on that, I think it's very important, to first understand that we need help. Everybody need help. Everyone need some kind of help, and find someone that you can trust, that of walk, has lived, and you can lean on that person for guidance or so on. It like I mentioned earlier, most of the time they wouldn't come to you and say, let me mentor you, because most of the time they don't know what you're going through. But it's important that you can find someone. I don't think I will ever not have a mentor anymore. I wouldn't that you will never I will never meet to that place, because when you meet to that place, that means you know everything. And we'll never know everything. And so I think having a mentor is very good, understanding that the mentor is there to help you and not to hurt you. Secondly, you want to be able to submit the guidance, submit to whatever, this person who you might look at as a mentor, submit to what they're telling you, because they you like you mentioned earlier, the trust is there. So you want to be able to submit to what they're saying, and and keep working at it, and then stay consistent. I always call my mentor if with every not every decision, but any big decisions I have to make, or any time I'm struggling with certain things. And the thing about it, we don't talk every day. Sometimes we go weeks, but when we do reach, I know where to find her. I know when to call. I know, and it's not a case. And the thing about it is not a case where she would say, "Well, you didn't call me. You didn't call me for 3 months, and now you call." That's not mentorship. It's even some of the youths back in Guyana. Sometimes we don't talk for a while, and then we might talk. There are times when we'll be on the phone every day because we understand there's a situation, but then there's sometimes we wouldn't talk. And then when they do call, or when I do visit and we rung up and we're having a conversation, it's never a case of, we haven't spoke for a while, and now, it's never that. We understand the relationship is there, and there's a foundation there. We understand that this is the role I play in the relationship, and the mentee understand that's the role they play in the relationship, and we understand that it is necessary for all of us and for the town that we're from, and so it's important that we stay consistent, and that we stay um in tune, and stay, men don't fail because they lack opportunity. A lot of times we think there's opportunity out there. There are many opportunity out there. I always say, wherever there's a problem, there's an opportunity. Where you see a problem, opportunity, you just take that problem and you can turn it into an opportunity. But we feel because we reject instructions, and it's either from me trying to advise you, or me not paying attention to the word and understand that those are instructions to guide me. So a lot of times that's our problem. And if we can, find a person that we can look at as a mentor, stay disciplined, stay consistent, submit, understanding that this person here is grounded, this person. And for me, like I always advise, find somebody that somebody that know God, man. If finding a mentor that don't, it's kind of risky in my view, because they can do they really, are they really doing it for the right purpose? Because you got to love people to be a good mentor. You have to love people and want the best out of them, and so you will go there willingly, because remember, being a mentor, many people call me sometimes. I could remember persons call me to be a paid mentor. I said, man, I don't know. I wasn't that or something. And not in terms of life. That was just in terms of this business space. Be a mentor to them in that aspect of business. And I didn't think it was it. I turned it down because I didn't feel it was my calling. And some guys might say, "Hey man, I think that's a great opportunity you're losing," but I just don't feel that is something that I am passionate about. But in terms of being a mentor to young men and being in their lives and trying to help them, that's what I'm passionate about. But it's all comes back to, being willing as a young man or young woman or what the case may be. And like I said, there's no age when it comes to that, because I just turned 50 and I have a mentor who I love. So it's just being able to submit to that type of teaching and so on and so forth.
So it's very important that everyone needs a mentor.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a mentor for every facet of my life. You need a mentor for every facet of your life. You need a spiritual mentor. You need a business mentor if you're a business person and you want to share in that business space. And if you in that part of field of education, you need an education mentor, somebody who you can trust. And we're going to close on this note tonight. The greatest thing you can find in a mentor as a mentee, someone that values you, someone that values the relationship. Because being a mentor to a mentee is not easy, because the mentee is understudying you. The mentee is shadowing you. The mentee, because of the relationship, has caused you to unveil even your trusted secrets and struggles. So you have to make sure that the mentee can able to be fortified to handle that. And then the mentee, because of that relationship, will share their setbacks, their pain, their lows. They will share what they're lacking and say and so forth. But because of valuing that mentee mentor relationship, everybody can evolve into the best version of themselves. That's why you don't hear much about mentorship and mentees. You hear a lot more about boss, a lot more about leaders, and even you hear a lot more about coach. But this does not rise to the high bar of great value. These coach have a shelf life. Boss have a shelf life. Leadership have a shelf life, but mentorship doesn't have a shelf life. Our mentor expect for us as mentee that we roll with him into all eternity. I'm talking about Jesus. There is no shelf life. He called his disciples. He said, "Come, let us reason together." We're talking as we're about to close. Come, let us reason together. Though your sin are like scarlet. What is putting Deacon E.D. George Clark? He is putting a value on that relationship that has a lot of pain. A relationship that doesn't rise to the high bar of value. There are more lows than highs in that relationship. There are more pain than gain in that relationship. There are more brokenness than whole. And Jesus is saying, come, let us reason together. So as a mentor, you have to see the sin. You have to see the brokenness. You have to see the pain. You have to see the hurt. You have to see everything that this person is going through and see because of the value. You see, not because I've been through this, I must happy to see you go through it. That you must arrive at the same juncture of my pain, then I will mentor you. That is not true value. Because if I have to wait and see you car being repossessed, so I can mentor you, so my car was being repossessed, because I had to struggle to find certain openings or certain avenue, I will allow you to. That is not mentorship of value relationship. So Christ has said, Deacon E.D. George Clark, Seon Gregory Gomes Rodney. Though you sinner like scarlet, come let's reason. Though you sin, so though you use your sin, I'm gonna take your sin into the sea of forgetfulness. Come let's reason together. Let's deal with this thing. And when I come to sit with Jesus, he showed me the possibility of overcoming. Deacon Edie George Clark, I want to thank you on behalf of the Conversation Motivational Platform. This august platform that are evolving and matriculating and take the posture of mentoring the nation. Dare to say mentoring the world, of having people to find their momentum, finding their sweet spot, finding their rhythm, that they can enter themselves into society to function back holistically as God intended for them. I want to thank you tonight once more again to share spaces and places of this opportune time to present the opportunity to someone who would need to hear tonight the necessity of having a mentor. We want to thank you for all that you are doing on behalf of your mentees, on behalf of your leadership, on behalf of your direction, that God will continue to give you the capacity as you continue to pour out more, and God will replenish you in all aspects of your mentorship, that you can only evolve to get better and greater. Deacon Edie George Clark, what is your closing remarks tonight to the conversation audience, supporters, donors and covenant partners, and friends of this great august platform?
First, thank you for having me again. And it was a great topic talking about mentorship. And I must say, there are certain things, mentorship, a mentor, a leader, and the right coach can all fit in one basket. The right leader, the right coach, the right mentor. You can find a good leader that can be a mentor. You can find a good coach that can be a mentor. It all depends on the ability of one to be able to recognize potential in others and try and work to bring those potential out, not for personal gain, but for the benefit of the other person. So thank you for having me again. And I thank you for doing a good job by keeping this show going. And I trust that it will reach others and do what it's meant to be, do what it's meant to do, and be what it's meant to be. So keep up the good work, brother.
And I want to thank you very much once again to sharing spaces and places as we continue to evolve. We continue to matriculate into the best version of what God has called us to be, raising the high bar of value in relationship, because relationship is great. Value is greater, and we're going to stand the test of time, mentoring into all eternity. In the month of June, not too far distant future from now, we are celebrating 12 years of this awesome august platform, the Walmart of social media, the Conversation Motivational Platform. Once again, thank you.
Wake up, feel the light, a brand new day in sight. Conversations that uplift, setting your dreams alight. Mindset shifts, empowering quotes, fueling your fire, keeping you afloat. Stay inspired daily, let your spirit soar. Our love language is value, giving you more. Join the conversation, every word counts. Motivation matters, enlarge your amounts. Stay inspired daily, let your spirit soar. Our love language is value, giving you more. Join the conversation, every word counts. Motivation matters, our platform, find your calm. Mindset shift, embrace the change. Stay inspired, let your goals arrange. Daily motivation, your daily lift. You got this, embrace the gift. Hashtag shift, embrace the change. Stay inspired, let your goals arrange. That's the daily motivation, your daily lift. You got this, embrace the gift. Stay inspired daily, let your spirit soar. Our love language is value, giving you more. Join the conversation, every word